Hey everybody, sorry if I might have been streaming to the wrong place a minute ago. Now it says that I'm streaming. Apologize for being late. I do these live streams for my VIP members, and it streams to another private area, and I think that's what I was doing. So let me know that you can see and hear me, and we will kick things off. I'm very bright today. It's okay. I'll be okay. This is episode 227 of Ask Joe. We'll get started recording in just a minute. I need an intro, though, so any intro ideas you might have would be super duper helpful. Let's see. Dr. McFarland's here. What's up, brother? Okay, we're going to do electric guitar. I need to set up an input. Let's make a stereo track. Input 17 and 18. And let's go. Let's see. Let's turn on all the sounds. Inputs aren't set up. Boy. Yoink, yoink. There we go. So what if we said... It's Q&A heaven. It's Ask Joe 227. That'll work. All right. Now I'm all wrapped in cable. Hold on. I am completely... You're all good sports. I've told you you're a good sport. That initial effect was like the shimmer setting on the Boss RV6. I've not found a place where I've used it yet, but all right, let's see how this sounds. It's Q&A heaven. It's Ask Joe 227. Well, that sounds delightful. Let's throw an EQ on there. It's Q&A heaven. It's Ask Joe 227. Okay, that should be about right. Let's chop it up. So if this is your first time, I know you're probably thinking, what is this gringo doing? I do a podcast every week, and I do an intro every week. And the intro is usually something silly and arguably slightly musical. And this is what it is. So we're streaming it live, and we're about to start the actual podcast recording. It's also a video. So it's a podcast, it's a video. I'm killing lots of birds with lots of stones. It's Q&A heaven. You can't even see my screen, so this is even less interesting. It's Ask Joe. There you go. 227. And then the music starts. All right, that should be it. I think we're good. I see all y'all in the chat. Thanks for being here. Let's kick things off. And I'm going to talk about a couple of things, and then y'all are talking about a lot of crazy stuff. Okay. Anyway, hi. I'm going to go away for a second, and then I'll turn this sucker back on. Here we go. Whoops, let's try that again. It's Q&A heaven. It's Ask Joe 227. Hi there, Joe Gilder here from Home Studio Corner. You know I've been doing Home Studio Corner since 2009. That's crazy to me. And if you've been around since then, raise your hand in the chat. I want to know which of you is that crazy. This is episode 227 of Ask Joe. You can listen in your podcast app. You can listen and watch on YouTube. There might be other ways. I don't know if there's other ways to consume it, but I'm glad you're here. And the best way is to attend live on Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Central Time, just like all these lovely people like Bill and Kip and Will Paxton and Ori Main and Sam Canuck and John McMillan and Steve Rossbotham and Grassy Poet, Chris Cooks, Grazar, John McMillan, I said that twice, Jugs MacGyver, and Basilio. So we got a lot of folks that hang out, David Kamel, who hang out regularly with us. Would love for you to be one of those. Work it around your lunch break. Come hang out. You can see how I make each of the intros, which is arguably the least interesting part of this, but that was a fun guitar tone that we were able to figure out. And yeah, so there you go. My name is Joe Gilder. Thanks for being here. What I do here on this podcast is I answer your questions. And what I do with Home Studio Corner is I talk about making music in a home studio, and I help you overcome those hurdles of how complicated it can be at times, and help you get to the part where you're just making and releasing just crap loads of music. That's the official slogan. Let's all release crap loads of music. So, I don't even know what I'm going to talk about today. Normally I talk about something for just a couple seconds, then we get into your questions. We might get into your questions a little faster because I'm not super prepared. What I will say, yeah, I know what I want to talk about. I actually had thought about this. Never mind. I have set some goals for not for the year, for this is just the beginning of the second quarter of the year. So I've got 13 weeks and I've got 4 goals and I'm going at them. I'm going to write them down every day, pursue them like crazy. They're pretty big. A lot of them, there's a good chance I won't get to them, and that excites me. So meaning I won't achieve it. I won't get where I'm trying to get. And I'll share more about those goals and what they are. That's somewhat irrelevant. But one of them, as you may recall, one of my big goals is to play the Ryman Auditorium, best venue in the world, according to me. It's just a cool venue here in Nashville. It's an old church that's been turned into a venue. I've seen some amazing shows there, and I want to get up on that stage and play some songs. I'm nowhere close to reaching that goal. I've released a lot of music over the years, especially just in the last 12 months, but there's a lot of steps between here and there, and unless I'm making progress towards it, I won't make progress towards it, right? So the idea here is I'm gonna try to play a bunch of shows over this next 3-month period. So a lot of streaming shows. So I'll do some here on live stream, kind of like this, except less of me talking and more of me with a guitar playing. I want to invite friends and musicians and songwriters to come play with me. So do like kind of an in the round thing or a collaboration thing on the live stream thing. And also want to play some shows out in the actual real world. And that's where you maybe could come in. If you're in the general vicinity of Nashville or within driving distance, I'd love to chat with you about possibilities of doing either acoustic shows or house shows. It's just something I just got to do. I need to play more music. I want to play more music and connect with more people, both musicians and the people that are listening to the music. So that's where I am right now. Gray says, come to England. I would love to come to England. I've got lots of friends over there in that United Kingdom, but I just haven't made it over there yet. But anyway, that's kind of what I'm thinking about. And the idea is, a lot of people would say, I want to do this. I have this goal I want to do. And now I'm going to make an album, and then I'm going to sit and wait for someone to discover me and invite me over to play in their show. And I suppose that can happen, but I'm much more thinking about how can I make things happen? How can I create a show, for example, where I get to play, but I'm also inviting the artist and I'm taking ownership of it, like maybe a house show at my house or at a friend's house in Nashville, or calling a venue and saying, here's what I want to do. Can we have it for this evening? I'll bring the musicians. I'll bring the audience. Putting all the pressure on myself to make it happen, which scares the daylights out of me because that's not what I do. I've amassed a big following on YouTube. This is completely different. I can't guarantee that I'll get a bunch of people to a show like that. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm trying to think of ways to not sit around and wait for someone to pick me, but to just pick myself and just keep picking myself and keep finding ways to create value both for me and also for the audience, but also for other musicians who maybe don't tend to get out there and pick themselves as much. And I think it's going to be super fun. Boom. Okay, the chat is all abuzz with people saying things like, let's make music together. So the Hidden Guy is new to the live stream. Welcome, the Hidden Guy. Nadeem wants to go busking. That could be fun. I've busked before. And so anyway, that's enough about me. If you're thinking about it and you want to just hit me up, email me, joe@homestudiocorner.com. I'm open to anything. I might say no. If you're in Vancouver and you want me to drive, probably not going to happen. But you can email me anyway. See what happens. I just think there's a lot of fun things that could happen that aren't within the normal confines of how shows are booked and played. So let's explore some, shall we? All right, now it's the time for your questions. If you have a question for me, get in that chat and ask away. I will try to get to as many as I can over the next, let's do some quick math, 24 minutes, 24 and a half minutes. And yeah. So, by the way, those of you who never come to the live call, I end up usually staying on and answering questions for another 30 minutes after the call is over. So there's your incentive to come hang out live on Tuesdays at 1 p.m. That's the last time I'll say it. It's probably not the last time I'll say it, but I'm going to say it's the last time I'll say it. By the way, I had some really good hot sauce at lunch. I can't stop thinking about it. All righty. Grupo says, how do you make your YouTube videos? Depends on the video. If it's screen stuff, like mixing stuff, I use a piece of software called ScreenFlow. I route Studio One through my mixer, much like I'm doing right now. I route my microphone through the mixer, and then I route that mix of everything back into the computer. I use Audio Hijack as part of the software and the Soundflower driver to get that audio into ScreenFlow, and then that all mashes them all together. So that's it. If it's just camera videos, I shoot it on a camera, I drop it into iMovie, and I edit it there. And all episodes of Gilder Cam have been done in iMovie, which is just funny to me. I think it's funny. Lunch today was at a place called Frothy Monkey, which is a cool coffee house that has good food. They have good omelet. Really good omelet. I want another one with hot sauce on it. Nikki, first time on the live chat. What do you think of Reaper? I switched yesterday from Ableton. I think Reaper's great. I've never used it a day in my life, but I know people who have. I think the software you use makes no difference. It really doesn't. If you've switched and you're happy, go for it. I just think I'm much more interested in the music you're making than the tools you use to make it. So if you're making music, wonderful. If you're not, let's fix that. Kip says, what do you suggest for releasing EPs? CD Baby, TuneCore, and Research. CD Baby only charges you once, and TuneCore has annual fees for each song/album. Neither. I use DistroKid. I've used TuneCore before. It was really expensive. It was like $50 a year per release, I think. It could be different now, obviously. I used Ditto Music for a while. They weren't great. But DistroKid has been fabulous. It's $30, I think, maybe 35, maybe 40 for the year, and I can release unlimited stuff forever. Like last year, I released 3 EPs and a single. It was all for the same price. I could release a song a day for the same price as I could release nothing, which is kind of funny. So yeah, I like DistroKid a lot. They actually emailed me a long time ago, said, hey, make a video about DistroKid and we'll pay you. And I never got back to them, but then I checked out DistroKid and I really liked it. And I never got paid. So I'm not getting paid to tell you this, which should tell you something. When and why do you use side chaining, specifically for vocals? The only side chaining I do on vocals is where I use the internal side chain to have the compressor only listen to the high frequencies to act like a de-esser. That's really the only thing I do. I don't sidechain something else off the vocals. Occasionally a delay, where the delay gets smacked down while the vocal is singing and then comes back in when the vocal stops singing. But that's only on rare occasions. Joe, do you take breaks when mixing a song? Usually, yes. Are you going to get a distressor now and possibly more hardware compressors? And no, probably not. I'll just have Tim bring his over every time. It's a perfect situation for me. I'm on the fence about that new Eminem song. I haven't heard it. I'll probably be on the fence too. Your opinion of Stephen Slate modeling microphones. It sounds like a really cool idea. Much like the Avid 11 rack. It gives you a bunch of different amp sounds for the price of less than one of those amps. Are they true to the original? I don't care. It's different tones and they sound cool, so I like it. The problem with virtual mic thing is, and I talked about this a couple episodes back, it's software based. So if ever Slate decides, you know what, we're not making enough money off of this, we're going to stop supporting this software, you essentially lose support for your microphone. And if your software stops updating, you update your system, you get a new computer, and the software doesn't work on that new computer, you just lost your microphones. So that's my only concern with a digital system. That said, I don't see Slate going anywhere. And the resale value on software is way bad. If you bought a U47, chances are you can resell that at any point and make a pretty penny. Not so much with digital-based stuff. Something to think about. What bit and sample rate do you record at? 4824. 48 kilohertz, 24 bits. And only do 48 because this board only does 48. So that's why. Normally it was 44.1 prior to getting that sucker. How do you go about songwriting? I sit down and I write. And I try, it's been different lately, but I try to sit down and give myself an hour and finish the song. Finishing songs is the best thing you can do. If you email me and say, hey, I'm having a hard time writing, I would ask, how many songs have you written? And the response is usually none or a couple. And I would say, you just need to finish songs. Don't worry about it being bad. Finish a bunch of bad songs and you'll get better. It's the weirdest thing, and nobody believes me. But it's true. And once you experience it, you'll say, oh, he was right. I wish I hadn't waited 5 years to follow his advice. And you'll start writing more. So just start writing. Your first songs are likely not going to be good. Just like the first chords I played on guitar aren't good. So stop living in the dream world where your first song is going to be a Grammy winner. because it's not. And if you wait for a Grammy winner to come out on the first try, you'll never write a song. And 50 years from now, you'll email me and say, Joe, I never wrote a song. And it'll be a sad day. So let's not have sad days. Finish a bunch of bad songs, and guess what? They'll start to get better. It happens. I promise you. Do you master your own work? I have lately. Oops. Yeah, once I've mixed it, it sounds about like I want it to sound, and so I'll master it to get it a little bit louder, balance things out if one's got more low end than the other. I know it's probably wrong, but I just don't care. I want to get it out there. And by the time I'm done, usually I've got a deadline and it's due in 2 days, and that's just not enough turnaround a lot of time for a lot of mastering folks. Plus, that's more money to spend, and maybe I've blown my budget hiring great musicians or buying equipment to record it. It already sounds good, so I don't know. And you can go listen to the stuff I released last year, and if you think it sounds awful, then there proves your point. I should have had someone else master it. But anyway, I'm in a mood today. This is fun, and I'm drinking tea. I have stuck with the tea, y'all. All y'all British folk. It's delightful. I feel fancy. Basilio. I searched on YouTube and Google. Couldn't really figure out the difference between digital and analog mixers. Thinking to upgrade my studio to cater. Well, a digital mixer is like a computer in a box. An analog mixer actually runs the signal through like circuits and transformers and all that stuff. That's the actual difference. A digital mixer is probably more flexible, probably cleaner sounding. Nobody ever says, man, I love the sound of that digital board, but it just works and it's flexible. And like this digital board, I can plug USB into my computer, and now I'm multi-track recording 24, 32 channels. Really easy. To do that with an analog mixer takes a whole lot of work. You got to use direct outputs and a bunch of cables and a cable snake or a splitter snake, figure out a way to get it into the board and then back out, and then you still have to go into some sort of a computer audio interface that will convert the analog signal into a digital signal that'll go Firewire, Thunderbolt, or USB into the computer so you can record and play it back. It's a big hassle. I'm not saying it's not worth it, but I can't imagine me going anywhere further than a digital mixer that's just one USB cord to the computer. Anything more than that feels like a lot for what we do in home studios. Can you do an episode about RMS and LUFS, L-U-F-S, and how loud we should master a song? Here's an embarrassing admission. I don't know what LUFS stands for or means. I know it's a loudness measurement. I'm going to guess. Loudness, ultimate, full scale. I have no idea. Loudness unit, full scale, maybe. It's a different, Anyway, I use the K system. The little K meters, I go K14, and I have the master where it's at 0, where the green turns to yellow. That's where I try to get it. And then the louder part of the song, it's yellow, and the loudest part of the song, it's red. And if it stays in red too much, I pull it down. If it stays way down in the green too much, I turn it up, and that's literally what I do. And my mixes come out not slammed and a little quieter than everything else. I'm okay with that. Loudness units full scale. Is that what I said? Because I think I nailed it. Ultimate was a bad guess. I knew that going into it. How do you promote your music? DistroKid. Yeah, DistroKid. You literally go to iTunes and search for my name, and boom, there I am. That's it. I don't know about international. Someone who's not in the U.S., go search my name on Spotify or iTunes and verify that there's probably 8 or so albums, EPs there. When you're using K metering, do you mix with a peak or the average in those ranges? Well, a K meter is only average. It's like the meter itself doesn't show you, at least the one I have, doesn't show you peaks. Like, I can't show you right now, but so it's just the average. So yes, it's the average is hitting there, if that makes sense. Steve over in Great Britain confirms that I am in whatever he checked in iTunes or Spotify internationally. And that was all. And someone in Canada also. Thank you, Ryan. So it turns out DistroKid does get it everywhere. So there you go. Chris says, how long do you often spend on a mix? I'm starting to practice mixing more serious and spent the last month on one tune, my song Mission, which, by the way, if you haven't mixed Mission, it's free. Go find Mix Together. homestudiocorner.com/MT. You can get the tracks. You can follow along with me on the YouTube series. It's fabulous. I don't know why more people haven't done it. I'm thinking I should focus on finishing mixes in a smaller time frame. Chris, I'm not as concerned about what time frame it takes you as much as that you just keep finishing things. If you think you're taking, it says you took the last month. I don't know what that means. If it means you literally mixed for like 4 hours a day for a month, in that case, yeah, you probably do that a little faster. But a lot of it is starting out. Starting out, you're going to be slower. Dave Pinzado claims that he'll spend a day on a mix. I just don't have the concentration to do that. I like to blow through it a little bit faster, but then sometimes I have to come back and do it again. For like dueling mixes, for example, which is something we mix a song every month, I usually try to schedule an hour just to kind of get it set up and just start doing some levels, get all the tracks in there, everything organized, and then a 3-hour chunk to get the bulk of the mix done, and then another hour to kind of finish it. And that last hour could turn into 2 hours if I'm just really not feeling it. Sometimes I get done sooner, but usually it's about around there. If I feel that at that amount of time, I feel like I've given it enough attention, I haven't blown through it too quickly. But then with my own stuff, I actually mix it faster usually because I've already mixed it sort of going through the recording process. So by the time it's time to quote unquote mix, by the time I've recorded everything, it already is kind of already there. So I don't have to do as much there. So it's different. But if it's a straight up song I've never heard and I'm mixing it, I'd say 4 to 5 hours is normal. But that's really irrelevant. That's just me. You could do it in 10 and that could be completely legit. Have you seen the website Lander? It offers an app to master your songs. Yes, I have. And I know Ian has talked about it. I think Graham Cochran has talked about it as well. He did one. No, yeah, he did. He did a video about he mastered one himself or just used a limiter, and then he sent it to Lander. He sent it to me, actually, and said, I'm not going to tell you which one is which. Which one do you prefer? And they were both in the ballpark, but I still preferred the not Lander one. I didn't know which one was which. That was really cool and fun, and I was terrified that I was going to guess Lander was better. I just don't love the idea of anything doing music automatically. Music is made by people, so anytime something offers it automatically does this or it'll instantly blah, blah this, I start to kind of glaze over and stop listening. Even if it does it well. Like there could be, like there's I know there's a couple of virtual instruments that do like guitar strumming, and you can hit a button and it'll play like a guitar and it sounds real strumming a guitar, and it probably sounds better than what a lot of people will get recording. I would still much rather strum that guitar myself, put a microphone in front of it, and wrestle with it to get it to work and sound good. To me, that sounds better than a perfect... Like, I was doing some piano the other day using MainStage and my keyboard, and it sounded good, but it sounded too good. And so I'm probably, for this EP I'm working on, going to get the guy... My upright piano upstairs is broken, the sustain pedal stick is broken, and it's out of tune. I'm probably going to have the guy come tune it and fix it, and then... That's going to be my my piano sound for this EP, I think, because I like the imperfections in there. So that's my little rant on computers taking over the world and doing all our music for us. Please do more tours from your studio. Like, you want me to tour this studio again? Because I did it already. There's really nothing different, except I swapped the keyboard and the desk over. If you haven't seen that latest 2018 tour, it's up there, but there's really nothing to show. And if I did the same video every day, you would all go crazy. What's your opinion of Aubade for Android? Never heard of it. What are your thoughts on recording and or mixing with a 500 series hardware, particularly the DIY-RE modules and the vast color module? Well, Doug, I don't use 500 series. I think 500 series is super cool. I go through phases where I'll say I'll have one of those and one of those and one of those, but I never get them. So I don't have an opinion. I like the idea of I can have in a $500 or $600 package, I can get the same sound as a $1,500 preamp, as long as I have the chassis to put it in. I like that idea, and that may be something I do down the road, but I won't mix through it. It's just running it out and back in and having to render everything in real time, just not worth it from a time standpoint. And it just doesn't add so much that it makes that worth it to me. I think I just went through all your questions. What equipment do you use for live streaming? Everything you see here. The Studio Live microphone, and then it goes into a piece of software called Audio Hijack that listens to a mix that I'm sending from this board that has this plus the audio going into a limiter so it's nice and loud for YouTube. And then, let's see, from there... That goes into a piece of software called Wirecast, and Wirecast is what uploads to YouTube. Boom. What are some techniques to get clearer, fuller sounding vocals when mixing in a home studio? Well, Michael, the first question is, do the vocals sound clear and full sounding in the recording? If not, there's no mixing trick that'll do that. That's the biggest thing I think I probably pound into people's heads. If the recording isn't the thing, doesn't sound like you want it to sound or pretty close to it, then there's nothing you can do in mixing to do that. So that's the first step. If it's your vocal that you're recording and the raw recording doesn't sound clear and full, then start over and work on getting that to sound clear and full. Then you can worry about doing things. I have found the better that I've got at recording, the less crazy my EQs look in mixing, because I make it sound good on the front end, what we call get it right at the source around these here parts, and then I don't have to do as much. Now, that said, clear vocals, sometimes you've got to take some mid-range out to get some of the nasally or whatever in the middle out of the way so you can hear the clarity on the top end and the fullness in the bottom end. But what I've said before is probably the better answer. What is the best way to learn to play piano when you're a real guitar guy? I mean, there are no piano tabs. Well, pianos use a thing called sheet music. There's these lines and circles that tell you exactly where to put your fingers. So I would learn that maybe. Or you could maybe get one of those courses that teaches you how to play chords. I took piano lessons as a kid, so I can read sheet music, but if you plop down like a hymn book and said, play this, I could eventually get there, but it wouldn't be quick. I would be like, clang, 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 clang. So it wouldn't be good. But if you set me down with a chord chart and said, play this, I could bang out the chords, because I play piano like a guitar player. So I spent a summer as a teenager. My bandmate bought this cheap little Yamaha keyboard that when I played 3 notes, it had a screen that popped up and told me what the chord was. So I knew chords from guitar, so I literally one at a time figured out how to play all the different chords, and then I started to learn how to play. Stefan says, I cannot sign up for dueling mixes via PayPal out of Germany. You cannot sign up for dueling mixes with PayPal, only credit card or debit card. If that counts you out, I am so sorry, but that's the way the system works. Will Paxton, how do you remain productive, keep yourself motivated through sickness or allergies or something like a family emergency? You may be able to hear that I'm stuffy today and sniffing a lot. Sometimes you got to take a break. And then the other time it's just I've got all this stuff I've committed to. I got to get it done. And so I just have to get it done. Now, family emergency, I totally am going to stop and take care of that. So I'm not sure what you mean. Yannick says, what's your opinion on the Kemper? I think it sounds amazing. I probably would like one day. And a lot of Nashville folks use it. And Nashville folks they're pretty picky. So if they're digging it and they're using it on real sessions and live, then that says a lot. Do you use Fat Channel as standard procedure? Yeah, it's kind of my go-to unless I need surgical EQ where there's a specific frequency I got to take out. But yeah, I've been using it a lot lately. The Neve EQ is on most channels, or at least on my buses. How is your current podcast vocal running? I don't know what you mean. I think I just explained that. How do you go about settling on a key for a song? Ooh, I go to the highest part of the song, which is usually the chorus, and I make sure I can sing it well and comfortably. If it's a little too high, and I know if I'm playing this at a writer's night and I'm tired, I'm not going to be able to hit that note, I bring that sucker down. Occasionally, it's what works for the guitar. So there may be this riff that I really can't do in any other key based on the way the guitar is tuned. In those instances, I just deal with it, and I just play it in that key. So those are 2 answers. There you go. Ben says, when you're writing songs, do you try to use different keys as a challenge or stick to ones you know fit your voice? For me, it's mostly I find some sort of a riff or a progression that I like. And so those are going to be in the normal kind of guitar player keys. So E, G, A. I've written a lot in B lately, C, and D. Those are the main keys I'm going to use. There's really almost never a reason to write in B flat for me because I don't enjoy playing in B flat. So then I'll write my songs in those keys. So if I'm writing it in D and it's too high, I'll go down to C. If I'm writing it in C and it's too high, I'll probably go down to A because I don't want to play in B or B flat probably. So I just keep it super simple. Gibson or Fender? I'm a Gibson guy, although I don't love them right now because they won't stay in tune, and I'm contemplating other things. Steon's here. No matter what amp sim I play through, it always sounds fake when distortion hits it. Anyone else noticing this? Yeah. You may just not be playing through the right amp sim yet. I like the way distortion hits the 11 rack. Set to a clean, like deluxe reverb. I think it sounds pretty good. So I don't know what to tell you. What's your main plugins outside of PreSonus? None. I have a meter plugs plugin that is that I use for mastering from Ian Shepherd, the Perception plugin, which doesn't. It's just a meter. It's just a listening thing. It doesn't even make any sound. I have 0 other plugins. I guess I have Easy Drummer that I've never used, except for once. So that's it. And Melodyne, but that comes with Studio One as well. I'm not. It's not just a gimmick. I just use Logic or Pro Tools. If I had to pick, I'd probably go Logic because of all the sounds they have. I had Logic. I used Logic for a couple years, and I like. It's very creative. I mean, Pro Tools has decent sounds too, but Logic just has a really great sound library. I'd probably go there. So, Steon, are you saying the distorted sounds don't sound good because you're using the built-in distortion, or are you running a distortion pedal into a clean amp sound? I would try one that you haven't tried. Instead of using, like, cranking up the amp, keep it clean like you would a clean amp and run a distortion pedal into it. See if that works. That works well for me. What's your opinion of the Audio-Technica AT2020? I'm sure it's great. Never used it. At what volume do you record? Well below clipping. And probably what people would say is too quiet, because the volume makes no difference to the audio quality. The only time you can screw it up with volume is if you turn it up too loudly. You can see right now my vocal is super quiet. Once I get done with this, I'm going to go in, I'm just going to turn it up. Easy. You can always turn it up. If it's like so quiet you can't see it, then that might be too quiet. But the problem, people's problem isn't recording too quiet, it's recording so loudly that if I sing a note a little bit louder than they expected and I clip, then I've ruined that take, or at least that part, and I gotta go back. So you're much better off just going super conservative on the levels and letting the performers just play. Don't worry about it, and you can always turn things up or down after the fact. And with that, I'm out of here. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. We need some music for this, y'all. We need music because it's time for the after party. It needs to be some kind of like rave music, like. Anyway, I'm back. I'm gonna answer some questions. We're gonna have a little after party, y'all. So, if you're here live, which of course you are, no one else will hear this. I'm gonna answer some more questions and hang out and drink the last dregs of my tea. Seriously, we need an after party song. Someone come up with one that only a handful of people will ever hear. That's right, Birdie Wings. You stay for this after party, yo. Maximus says, I'm opening my home studio. I have some queries. I'm a rapper. Tell me which microphone is best for me, the TLM 102 or 103? I don't know the difference. I would just try one and see. If you're doing rap, a lot of rappers use condensers. You may want to try a dynamic too, like an SM7 or something. Condenser is probably a better way to go. There is no right microphone because a lot of them sound pretty much the same. What matters is what you do with it. But you also want to find a mic that works for your voice. So if you can go try it out, find one you connect with. Doesn't matter what it is. If it's cheaper but it sounds good, go with it. What is your vocal mic choice, condenser or dynamic? Usually condenser these days. This one, hi, the Mini K47 from Roswell. I need a second one. Stian, I'm sorry, buddy. I will go. My inbox is, I need a system better than what I'm doing for managing my inbox. Let me go find it and flag it. I am failing in the inbox game. There it is. Okay, I see it. I flagged it. I will go check it out later. Paul Gold, what's up, Paul Gold? Glad you're here. What's your advice on mixing a song that has an insane amount of tracks? I do what somebody just answered. I agree with Soundcast Studios. Group it into less tracks. I always mix. I run everything through a set of about 8 buses: drums, bass, acoustic, electric, keys, vocal, background vocal. Those are my buses. If there's a bunch of strings, I'll create a bus for strings, and if anything else comes along. But otherwise, I would. That's what I would do. And then I would take each of those sections and balance them. So if you've got a bunch of guitars, I would turn everything else down and I would just balance the guitars into that bus and then go balance everything else. And now you're just playing a game of balancing the buses instead of having to balance everything together. It can help when you've got those overwhelming track counts that are a lot. Organizing the session, it'll take you longer, but getting all the tracks that play at the same time together and kind of figuring out who plays with who and who's playing off of whom and all that's all pretty helpful too. Will there be any more Simply Recording podcasts? I'm going to guess no. I already do this one, and Graham doesn't seem super interested. I'm sure he would, but he doesn't bring it up, and I don't bring it up, so we just kind of let it die. I'm sorry. You should become a Dueling Mixes member if you're not already, and the coaching call is like that, but we answer your questions. Roswell, an American brand. Yeah. Made by my buddy Matt McGlynn out in California. Great mics. This one's $300. And it sounds delightful. What monitors would you recommend as a first pair? No clue. Call Sweetwater. I've got these monitors, won these in a Christmas song contest in like 2007 or 2008 at Sweetwater. And they haven't died. So if they die, I'll go start researching monitors. But until then, I don't know, because I don't spend a lot of time looking at gear. I know it sounds arrogant. I'm just saying I don't know about monitors because I don't spend time looking at them because I don't need them. So I just make music. Are Roswells available in the UK? No clue. I bet he would ship to you if you'd pay to have him ship it to you. But I don't know how all that works, like international license, blah, 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 blah. How would you record an upright bass if you were recording jazz or close miking? It's for a bluegrass. I would usually use 2 mics. I'd get one around the F hold to just capture a lot of low end, and then one up higher to get some of the string noise. A lot of times I'll do like a dynamic down here and a condenser up here, and then blend the two. Try to get phase as good as you can between the two, but typically one's the low end, one's more the high end, and I blend them together. Joe, thanks for the after party as always. Do you prefer trying Urco type of recording, as in setting more than one mic? I don't know what that means. You mean multiple mics on a vocalist and just record them all? No. I like to pick a mic and go with it. I don't want to make decisions later. I want to make decisions now and then run with them. Panning on songs with very few tracks. Randy, go watch the video I posted yesterday called Pan Your Way to Better Recordings. You just got to, it's more in the production. So if you got to record them in a way that sets you up to get a good mix, so where they balance each other well. But the idea is if something's to the left, then something else has to be balancing it to the right. So if there's like a piano that comes in for the chorus and then goes away, hopefully there's another guitar that comes in for the chorus and goes away, so they can balance each other well. You can almost do a lot of it visually. Just look at where they come in and where they don't. And if the answer might be everything up the middle, because there's not enough tracks to justify one being to the left and one being to the right. Do you have a mental process for tracking yourself to not just play the part right, but get an emotional performance? I guess. I just try to have fun. And yeah, I probably should be like, yes, I have a 3-step process. I don't. I'm honestly trying to play it right, but for me, right is having the right feel. Not so much I hit every note. And if I made a mistake, does that mistake warrant another take, or is it okay? And usually I go with that's okay. If you like a lot of guitars in the mix, how do you hear bass and piano through that? You just do. I don't know. You just make it balanced. I don't really know how to answer that. You just set the levels so you can hear them, and if you need to EQ some frequencies to make you be able to hear it more, then do that. How important is acoustic treatment? It depends. How bad does your room sound? Any word on when DAW mode is coming out for Studio Live Board? It's out now in a public beta. I tried it. It messed things up, so I stopped. I'll go back and try it soon. Remix contests. Maybe. I've done it before. The thing about those is if, let's say, 100 people submit theirs and then I got to listen to 100, that's just a lot of time to sit down. If it's a 4-minute song, 4 minutes times 100 is 400 minutes. How many hours is that? That's just a lot of hours to listen through. And I keep myself pretty busy. So, are you a good singer if you need Melodyne every time? Sure. It just depends. Like I went for my first several albums, I didn't touch any tuning software. And the last several I have. And to me, it's just another tool like EQ. Like if your voice is nasally and you have to use EQ to cut out the nasally frequencies, does that make you a bad singer? No, it just means you need some EQ, just like every other human being. So I think relying on tuning and being lazy and not becoming a better artist, like that's a different story. But using it as a tool in the studio, I'm fine with it. I still want to get better at singing in tune because I'm going to play shows where I'm not going to have Melodyne to fall back on. So I still need to be good there. My goal is I played an online show. This was years ago. And I played the songs. It was from my Better This Way album. And I got through with those, and then I was taking requests. And somebody requested one off of the Out of Indiana album. And I played it, and I was playing. I saw one of the chats come up that said, wow, it sounds just like the record. And to me, that's what I want. I don't want to record something that's so polished and produced I can't sing it. Like the only way you can hear it is the recorded version. Then that's not being true to myself as the artist. But I'm okay with giving the recording a little more help because it's going to be forever, and I want to still be able to pull that off live as much as I can. Artist to professional, Michael, I don't know. I know you get the multiband. I know you get the mastering page. I just don't know the differences, so I'm the wrong guy to ask. Thoughts on the PreSonus channel strip? I've never actually used it. I like their stuff, but they've stopped making hardware for the most part. So I've got their Eureka that I like, which is kind of probably in the same vein. Heard there was a home business ban, including home studios in Nashville. Has this been causing any trouble for you personally? No, I'm technically in Brentwood and not in Nashville. I'm in a different county, so it hasn't affected me. It's just in the city of Nashville or Davidson County, there's this stupid law that you can't run a business out of your home. It's silly. So my buddy Lidge Shaw is suing the city because they basically tried to shut him down, and it's just this crazy thing. Ever use a small diaphragm condenser mic on snare along with the dynamic? Years ago I did. I've just never felt the need for it. The dynamic works super well. Chris, DAW mode. Well, yeah, but you have to also upgrade the mixer. The upgrading Studio One doesn't upgrade the mixers. That's what we're talking about. Do you intentionally overexpose your video to look younger? How old are you? I'm 33 and I'm using a $100 webcam, so I wouldn't even know how to overexpose that. It's just bright in here. I'm airbrushed into oblivion. Thoughts on Billy Talent? No idea who that is. Do you, any ideas for an affordable amp or preamp pedals to use with cab sims? My amp sims load my CPU. Cab sims not. Sorry, I don't know what you're asking. Sorry, John. Tips on removing snare ring from the mix. Go find the frequency with an EQ and then pull it down. Super, super easy. Just don't do it too much because snare ring is actually part of what makes drums awesome. Is Studio One free download? I have no idea. Are you working for or with PreSonus? I've partnered with them and done some like sponsorship deals, but no, I don't work for the company. What you used in your very first home studio? Very first was like a stick mic that plugged into the 1/8" jack on the back of a desktop computer. It was awful. Seem a tad snarky today. I probably am. I have a cold. That's probably has something to do with it. Any front of house experience? No. I mean, just a handful of nothing great. Any tips on tuning toms? Nope. I've got a video, if you want to be a VIP member, where Tim Horsley, who's a fabulous drummer, talks all about tuning drums, but I do not. I'm not a drummer. Any idea on where I can find people that may need mixing and mastering services via the web? It's just... go be in different communities online and be helpful. Give first before you ever ask for anything. And that's going to take a long time. You probably have to do that for 18 months before you get your first paid gig. And if you're not willing to do that, then you're probably not going to make it. I think that's the kind of attitude you have to have. I'm going to create an insane amount of value and not get paid for it for a while. And believing that if I create enough value, I will find a way to monetize that value and either get paid clients or something else good will happen from that. That's how I built Home Studio Corner. I did it for 6 months for free and put a lot of work and effort into it, and eventually got an audience of people who were interested. So then I said, hey, here's something I'm going to charge you for. Would you buy it? And some of them bought it. And the rest, as they say, is history. Are you still doing the monthly studio sessions for hire? Hey, Bill, we tried it for monthly. There just wasn't enough demand, or I couldn't sell enough of the spots, so we took a break. But if you've got another one you want us to do, we can, if I get enough of those, then we can line up another one. So right now we're kind of in a holding pattern. Would you reference mic to EQ your monitors for flat listening? No. I just don't think that matters. What do you think about John Mayer? I think he's great. I loved Room for Squares. I haven't listened to as much of his other stuff. Well, I've listened to some of it. He's just a good musician. He's got thoughtful songwriting. I like it. Have you started booking shows around Nashville as part of your goal to get to the Ryman? That's what I talked about at the top of this episode. I'm trying to book some more shows as of like yesterday. So also going to do more shows here on the live stream. Sorry, I've never used the SD card, Paul, on the Studio Live, so I don't know how that works. Do you think the Yamaha HS5 would give me enough bass? Yeah. There are professional mixers who use 5-inch monitors, so the monitor is not the variable. Do you listen to some harder rock stuff? A little bit, like Biffy Clyro, if you ever listen to them. But not a ton. And not like the really, really hard stuff. Any more Gilder cams? No. I mean, I'll probably do some, but it just wasn't, it didn't connect and wasn't valuable enough for me to keep doing. Not enough people... it wasn't giving me any sort of, I did it for 50 plus episodes, and the people who know me liked it, but it wasn't helping me grow things, and that's kind of the point. So, have you played the Bluebird? No. I've sat at the Bluebird. How did you set up the delays and the guitars for that French song? The delay was the the Memory Man, with some modulation. And then the reverb was that Boss RV6 set to, I think, the modulation reverb as well. So it's got this kind of out-of-tune sound that I kind of like. Are you a fan of older Christian artists? And listen, the only older Christian artist is Stephen Curtis Chapman. His Signs of Life CD was one of my all-time favorites. I really enjoyed the Gilder cam. Yeah, I think a lot of people did, and I enjoyed making them. It was literally, I was making them every day. I was spending way too much time. Like, it just takes forever to do that kind of video work. So there you go. Birdie, I don't know why you don't have any questions. Maybe you've figured it all out. It's possible. All right, folks, it is my quitting time. I got to go get this episode uploaded, and I got other stuff to do. Any suggestions of a good budget guitar to use in home recording, John? The 11 rack, man. Try it. It's like $200 used. You're talking about amp sims. It's a good combination. Just use it as an actual standalone piece. Get you lots of tones. Minimum height needed to get decent drum recording? Nah, just try it. Any you know what? I'm gonna call it. I'm done. Thank y'all so much for being here. I appreciate you as always. Tell your friends. Come back next week. We'll do it all again. See ya.